Rock the Ripple. Rock the Ripple. The Rock the Ripple podcast with Narita McInnes.
Let's do this.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Rock the Ripple podcast. I'm your host, Narita McInnes. It is so awesome to be here with you as always. And today is another very exciting day because I'm joined by two awesome humans who have both been on the podcast today. Oh, well, not today. Well, they are today, but they've been on separately and now they're together. They are the one and only power couple. That is Waydos and Gem. Waydos and Gem, welcome to the show.
Kia ora, kia ora, kia ora. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you guys?
Nice to be here again. We are good. Yeah, we are. We are in a good space.
You are in a good space. You guys were just like giving each other shit off camera. So I'm just loving it. I'm just loving it. You are awesome. For anyone who hasn't seen the separate episodes that you guys have done, obviously they can jump on the podcast and look out for Wayde Freeman, Waydos, Gemma Gee, and check it out. But today we've got you guys together all the way from New Zealand. Doing your thing, and we just thought it would be awesome to hang out together and just see what comes out. So maybe we'll just start with like, what is happening right now? What are you feeling? What's on your heart right now, guys?
There you go.
Oh my, well,
what's
on my heart's a big one at the moment. It's more, I guess we all know what's going on in the world. We all see what's going on, outside of our own backyard, but we don't ever concentrate on our own backyard. And I think for me in the climate that we're in right now is that's what my concern is, and my concerns with what I need to be concerned about is our own backyard. We can't look at helping anyone else out if you can't help ourselves. So what's happening in New Zealand at the moment, that is what I'm concentrated on at the moment. The propaganda, the propaganda, the colonial history, the colonial ties. Like we talk about decolonization, but we still want to talk about a colonial history. And I'm not talking about removing all white people from our land and things like that. Like that's not what I'm here for. I'm talking about making a New Zealand for all of us. The truth, so that once we understand the truth and we understand that, places like, the Crown isn't the royal family and things like that. Once we understand that and understand that our treaties are signed with corporations and illegitimate countries or entities, foreign entities, we're stuck in the same rotation. So my concerns for everything is more about our own backyard at the moment.
So what are you doing and how to try? I mean, because some people might not have an idea, and it's not because it's just they might not know what's going on for no good reason, no other reason. How would you sort of let them know what's been going on through what you've learned and what you can share, because you share so much.
And it is a layering as well.
Yes.
We have to acknowledge that.
It's the understanding. So it's just trying to teach people just to understand. Open your ears and just listen to the other side of things, because you may learn something that you've not learned before. But it's the old indoctrination, unfortunately.
Programming.
If I can be raw about it, is the fact is, they took away our language in the early 1900s. It wasn't to stop us from being Māori. It was to change our history, because it was an oral language, and now we have an oral language that's now written with an English alphabet. And there is going to be inconsistencies between an oral language and a written that's not even written in the language that we speak. So there's going to be inconsistencies there, and when you have, unfortunately, both Pākehā and Māori who believe the Crown is the royal family and they are who we've, partnershiped with and things like this. And they want to keep that partnership because that's what's keeping us, above ground. They just don't see the power in their own people. They don't see the power within themselves that, for one, we have everything that we need on this land. We have more resources than fucking England does. We have more resource than America, even Australia. We have more resource than you guys do. But we just, we could be so self-governing and so reliant, but people aren't willing just to step over that boundary yet. And I think that's the indoctrination, and it's just an education process. And, I just posted a video on my page before about a guy called Warren that's over here in New Zealand, and he's without Warren there would be no me either. He's taught me a lot. And when someone speaks in front of a hui, and Māoris out there are over talking and yelling at him to shut up and yelling at him to sit down, like, we're out there trying to get you free. We're trying to get you away, and our biggest opposition are our own people. And
but it's a perfect example of another external savior,
yeah,
really, but it's on a larger fractal pattern. I mean, it illustrates that perfectly. They're looking for someone else to, give them everything that that already exists anyway, and technically it's free, right? Water, all our resources, yeah.
So it's a biggie, and it's just, like I said, it comes down to the indoctrination and education, and that's what it is. New Zealand history comes from a book that is called the Polynesian Mythology, that was written by two colonial British, being Percy Smith and George Grey. I think the one thing that people really need to hear, and people that, if they're listening to this and you need to hear this, is you have to understand that Hobson, when he came to New Zealand, was never ever working for the royal family. The crown is not the royal family. The monarch, the British monarch, is the royal family. The crown is the Crown Corporation of London City, which is owned by the 13 families which control the world. It's owned by the bankers. So we've got our treaty is signed with the bankers. It's not signed with the royal family, but we believe, and we've been taught, that it's signed with the royals.
Oh, well, they've done a great job at, glamorizing the royals throughout time and what have you,
Just look at the program that they put on Netflix. They call it The Crown. Like, they're not the crown. That's just more bullshit.
Yeah. And I think it's like, it's the thing, and like you said before, Gem, it's the layers as well. And like, ultimately, like there's so many things going on, and so many fractals, like you said, so many layers. And ultimately, when we're putting our power out there, we're not standing in our power. Exactly. And I think a lot of it is, if we look into this stuff, if people look into it, if it's new to them, that's taking responsibility. Like, you have to take responsibility, and that can sometimes be like a hard thing to do when you've had someone there saying, oh, you can do this, you can do that, sort of thing. But it comes back to us going, actually, no, I know who I am. I know I want to stand in my power. And the more that people do that, the more we can shift the consciousness. But it can feel like a bit of a road, can't it? Well, especially when you're living it really thickly at the moment, I guess, with everything that you're experiencing.
What if I can, the one thing I can say, once you see it, you can't unsee it, and it's as clear as day. You can see how long, how the length of time, the depth that we've been, all manipulated from. And once you start, breaking this all down, and you're like, hang on a minute, you guys don't have any, jurisdiction here. You're a complete foreign entity on these lands, governing people that, that are from here. This is something that we either choose to engage into, or we say, hey, you know what, we don't really want your foreign control and power, and that's what, things have been set up for us for times like now, so that we can see through it, and we can choose our own way, and we can govern our own futures,
Absolutely. Absolutely. What are you finding the most challenging at the moment then?
my own people.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
I stated before, you know, I'm fucking so proud to be Māori, but at the same time, we just need to learn our own history and not the history that's been told to us. And why I keep bringing up history and not saying, you know, we need to learn the treaties and stuff like that, because once you understand history, you understand the meaning of those treaties. You know, these treaties might have 4 articles in them. He Whakaputanga has only 4 articles. You know, the Treaty of Waitangi only has 4 articles. But to read them at a surface level is that's all you're reading them at. Like, they're deeper than that. There's deeper seeding in these documents, especially He Whakaputanga being one of the only living documents still around to this day. You know, the only other living document around to this day is the Magna Carta. So you either have the Magna Carta or He Whakaputanga. And at this point in time, to everyone out there watching this, He Whakaputanga is what's keeping the Commonwealth out of Agenda 2030. You know, without He Whakaputanga down here in New Zealand, they can roll everyone. You know, there's no treaty in Australia. There's no treaty in Canada. There's no treaty in America. You know, we do have one down here because we learned from what happened with the rest of the world and how they dealt with the ground.
The last frontier, basically.
Yeah.
You know, so, I mean, our people here is so much smarter than what we give them credit for. And we hold far more power and, you know, cards in our hands as the people than what people are willing, maybe like you said before, maybe that's what scares them. You know, once you have knowledge, you have responsibility. How are you going to use it? You know, are you going to live your life going forward? I guess, you know, like most of us do for a period of time, and sometimes the whole existence, you know, where we're just kind of playing to the programs, playing to the matrix, playing to what, you know, this is structure of society that's been built by these banksters, you know. So once you get the knowledge, then what are you going to do? But I feel also, you know, one of the other hurdles in addition to what Wayde has, you know, talked about is, again, people disempowering themselves. We've been programmed to disempower ourselves right from birth. So, you know, it's kind of breaking through and surrendering anything that we know and anything that we've learned to date, and to use our own, you know, our own intelligence. And when I talk of intelligence, I'm not thinking, you know, how smart can you record or remember or regurgitate stuff. It's your actual divine intelligence of what, you know, is resonating with your soul. Like, use that to guide us forward. But again, like I said, so many people are wanting an external savior. That's the age of Pisces, right? Luckily, we're out of that, or we're just kind of on that tail end of it. But anyway.
Yeah, we are at the tail end of it, aren't we? Sorry, Waydos, were you going to say something then as well?
Nope.
No, he was just
I'm
posing.
Yeah.
But we are at the tail end of it. So how does that look then? What is your feeling with this that's happening now, what we're talking about, and with what we're stepping into astrology wise? How do you see that sort of playing out? What does that feel like?
Do you want to get that one?
Yeah. Well, then you can leave with the astrology, but I think with what needs to happen, and unfortunately, we, you know, I had a good conversation with a good mate of mine, Mr. Corey Bond. Shout out to Corey. He's a man that's on a mission that's around New Zealand doing the same thing I'm doing. And we sort of came to the conclusion over the, you know, we have been coming to this conclusion at times, but sometimes you just have to let it happen. We have to let the Māori Party take control. You know, as much as we don't want to, we have to let them, to show the people that these aren't the people that, you know, that you want governing you, or you want to be led by. You know, there's going to be a point where because at the moment, let's be honest, the people who are indoctrinated have a louder voice than the people that are starting to want to be free at this point in time, because that's how indoctrination works. They're so formed on their ideas that they're so loud about them that they don't hear anything else. And sometimes you've just got to let things happen, and that's kind of at the space where we're at the moment, of just being like, sweet, let it happen. Come see us when you're going, oh shit, we've gone the wrong way. You know, and there's a handful of us in New Zealand that know that actually know the right way to go. And there's not many of us. Like, there's a lot awake and aware in New Zealand, but to the depths of the understanding of which direction we need to go, there's not many. You know, there's still a very slim, only handful of us. And once people start listening to those handful, we may have some decent change. You know, but up until then, some things have just got to happen, and Jem will tell you with the stars that they will just happen.
I mean, that's just it. I mean, the thing is that I could quote you all sorts of stuff, or talk a lot of things, you know, about age of Pisces, age of Aquarius, all that kind of thing. You know, Kali Yuga cycles and precession cycles and great, all of it. The point is that that's all just, you know, a sphere of sound frequencies anyway, that holds certain amounts of codes and data and information. And it's once you get to certain, can you hear that dog?
Yeah, we can hear.
I think the dog's agreeing with me.
Yeah, the dog is agreeing with you.
Either there, it's just been a pain in the ass. I think it's more that. But you know what I mean? Like, it's there's a symphony that's playing out in a greater tapestry in the cosmos that is just going to happen. There's, of course, you know, when we're looking at this turning over between the ages, everything is a fractal pattern, and there is a buffer zone within that. But as the age of Pisces, which is all about belief and doubt, right, and dogmas, you know, programs and things like that, you know, then that's got a tail end to go through as well. Now we're in this buffer zone, right? And the buffer zone's quite large. Okay?
Bye religion.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And but it, you know, if you really go to the fact that everything's just energy, frequency, and vibration, it's a matter of these, you know, lower densities to unravel.
Yeah.
You know, as these the higher, as everyone's talking about, you know, whether you talk about 5D or you talk about whatever it is, you know, Christ consciousness coming in, it's all framework for the reality that we exist in. And so I guess, like I said, yeah, you can get your crystal ball with the astrology, and I love doing that, don't get me wrong, absolutely do. But I really feel the best thing that any of us can do is to stop externalizing you know, our powers, and going within and finding balance right now within ourselves, so that, you know, the whole energetic can rebalance itself, and we can, you know, uptake this, you know, incoming of new realities and new ways or new worlds, or restoring really to our superpowers. So
yeah, absolutely. And I love that you said that, because ultimately, and I say it all the time, everything begins within. And so if we want to see humanity thrive, then of course our job then is to thrive. If we want to see balance, then we need to find balance within. And when more and more of us do that, that is how we shift consciousness. That is how we raise consciousness. Oh, I'm going to cough.
Cough. I mean, it's in the light. It's in the you know, the light we see the darkness, and the darkness we see the light. So, you know, it's going back to the Taoist ways. It's going back to, you know, just isness.
Absolutely.
It just is what it is. Like, people, it's the yin and the yang. You know, you need dark to have light. You need light to have dark. Like, you're never going to expel everything. You know, you're not going to ever expel all the light. You're never going to expel all the darkness. It needs to be there in order for everything else to exist as well. And it's the same, you know, as soon as you get further and further down the fractal patterns, it's all the same at the end.
Exactly.
And do you feel like as well, because we are shifting so much, and we're stepping into this new time as well, like so much more is bubbling up and so much more is coming to the surface. And I think as well, it is, isn't it? It's just, and it's happening more and more. Like, there's no escaping it, even if you want to, but you can't.
No, it's like it's got to come up. I mean, you can speak of it in many ways, but just from the most simplistic form of energy, right? As that, you know, those heavier, denser energies that are lower frequencies that are linked to, you know, shittier experiences and stuff like that, as they come up, I mean, it's all for transmuting. It's all for, you know, it's through the cracks that the light gets through, right? And it's really a time where, I mean, I feel we're called to all the fragmentations of our soul, whether it's in this experience or whether it's, you know, beyond that in other incarnations as well, in different star systems, different, you know, dimensions, right? You know, it's all pulling that back in at the moment, so that we as you know, we're on the precipice of a change that I really don't feel people you know, can fathom.
Yeah.
It's that profound, and it links all to what we're seeing playing out, you know, in our day-to-day at the moment.
It's speeding up too, isn't it? It's really speeding up. It's nice eyebrows, Waydos. For those who are only listening, he's doing the eyebrow raise.
So we're like, yeah, and the synchronicities and oh my goodness,
it's splitting. We you know, we've still got a lot of time. Like, well, when I say we still have a lot of time, we're at a point now where the changes have to be made, but as a society, it's not going to change overnight. You know, we've had generations of indoctrination, and, you know, especially since, you know, the early 1900s when the Rothschilds and Rockefellers took over the universities and things like that. We've been indoctrinated, and for thousands of years prior to that too, you know. So it's one of those things that people, I think some people think that it's just going to be an overnight like switch, turn on, turn off, you know, and oh, we're in a new world. Like,
no,
you know, I still think we got fucking 20 years left, you know, but that's what we're here to do. And we're slowly going to see the world emerge because we're the ones doing the work, you know, and so our world's going to change before everyone else's world's going to change. But as a whole and as a complete, I think we still have 10 to 15, you know, 10 to 20 years before we get a complete and utter full change. But by that time, you know, like I said, people like ourselves are understanding. So our world's going to change before the others.
Yeah. And the thing is, and I think this happens, well, it does happen on a micro level and a macro level. It's like, it's the big ship needs to turn around. And like for some of us, like I work with people and we're turning our self-worth around, and that can be a massive shift to turn around. And so, you know, for everything, but everyone doing the work, whatever it is, like it can be the tiniest thing, but you're doing that little bit, and that is helping. And that's the thing. And I think we can't underestimate what the smallest things can do, because they're the things that are actually changing. And 20 years, like in the big scheme of things, is only a drop in the ocean. But for us living it now, like, especially when you've been, you know, awake and aware, Waydos pretty much since he was born, and the man that he is, like, it's like, come on, guys.
But, you know, like we're talking before we jumped on, just, you know, in line with what you were saying, the smallest things. I mean, even if you're overcoming your own personal fears, overcoming your own patterns that you're done with, that you're tired of, that, you know, that you're doing the little things in your own world. I mean, yeah, like massive ripple effects, massive, more than what we, especially, you know, when we hold pure intention as well. Because intention moves energy, right? So yeah, I'm just spending my time at the moment, especially with the alignments, spending my time at the moment, you know, finding my own balance within my energetic state of being. You know, what's the feeling I love to hold within myself? And you know, as small as that may seem, it's fucking huge.
That is fucking huge, actually. It's the biggest thing you can do. And that's the thing, like, we're such powerful beings, and I think like those things like that seem small are the biggest, because that is the stuff that's shifting it, you know.
Do you know what I'm doing at the moment? I'm really stepping more into which I know that if whoever's listening, you're tuning in for a reason. You know, really going back to the lunar cycles as well, and you know, just the things that those before us knew.
Yeah, tapping into that wisdom and that knowledge and that knowing that's always been there. That's the thing too, like with knowing too, like once you know, you were saying before, like once you see something, you can't unsee it. And when you tap back into that knowing, like for whatever reason it's been blocked, you've had that pattern there or whatever it might be, you just know, don't you? You can't explain it. It's just a knowing, because it's not a belief, it's just a knowing, which is two different things, isn't it?
Well, and the belief is all that belief and doubt would go, age Pisces stuff, but Wade always says that too. If you believe something, there's a lie within it, or there's a doubt within it. So,
belief creates a doubt.
Yeah, belief creates doubt. And then look at the spelling of it anyway. Belief, lie is in the middle of it. Yes. So there's, not to say it's a lie, but that there may be, you got to dig more for the truth.
Yeah, you still got to believe in things, and you still have to have that belief, but belief brings doubt, and this is why they tell you to believe in things. This is why they tell you to believe in the unseen, and like things that we can't well, I shouldn't say can't fathom, but I guess, like the big man in the sky, you got to believe him. You got to believe him, but it brings a doubt. And that's when you know something, for me, like when I know something, you ain't moving me off no rock. Like I don't give a shit if I'm standing by myself. Like I'll stand there until the cows come home, because I know, like, everything inside me is telling me you're going the right direction. And every time I question myself, there's something that pops up that says, no, you're going the right way. So when it comes to that, I don't care if there's 100 people standing by me. I don't care if there's Gem standing by me. That's all I need. At that point, that's all I need, and that's where those beliefs do cause doubts, but at the same time, your inner self will tell you, whether you're right or wrong. And we have DNA with it. Our DNA comes from thousands and thousands of years. All our memories and all our everything is locked within that DNA. So all we have to do is remember who we are, and from there on out, the knowledge will start, creeping back into your existence.
Absolutely. Well said. Well said. That's the thing, isn't it? It's funny, you're talking about believe. I remember back in the day when I started on my personal development journey, and I had the word like believe written on my board somewhere, and I would look at it and I would always just see lie. I would always just see lie in there. I'm just like, this is, and that's the thing too, we're constantly remembering who we are, like you said, and we're just always taking off the layers and calling back or bringing back those parts of us that we might have forgotten, which is all already there within, of course, but we're just waking those things up. It's like the pine cone opening, we're really just, we're coming back to that. And I think that's what's a fucking exciting time about right now as well too, because we do have the polarity of the shit hitting the fan, but we've also got so much of this beauty happening as well too, which is just, I mean, how blessed and lucky are we to be able to experience all of this? Like, if you,
what we came for.
It's what we came for, isn't it?
This is exactly. This is part of what we're here to do, and it's having that courage to step into that space, and stand out, as Wayde was saying before. I mean, I'm excited within my own journey of what it's showing me and what I know to be true. Like it blows my mind all the time, every time I think about the possibilities and the power that we hold, and the opportunities that are now available to us at this moment in time, that weren't a little while ago, in terms of our genetic programming, of our ability to activate layers and templates that are stored within us that have had caps on for years. So we're truly in an amazing time, as much as we're seeing a shit show.
No, and I like, I've said this to I actually said this on another podcast too, and I'll say it here, is like, I feel privileged to have the knowledge, be given the knowledge that I've been given, and to be able to use it and be able to educate people that it's, this is a blessing that, and I hate to use the word blessing when you know the true meaning of it, but it's a,
it's an honor. Really.
It's an honor, and to be able to talk to these people who are in their 70s and 80s and 90s, and knowing that if I didn't speak to these people and didn't get this, this part of this knowledge, or this, it was lost forever, and that's where we're at. And I'm just so honored and privileged to be able to hold that knowledge for our people, and to be able to try and educate people with it, and hopefully, and I know over time people are listening, but it's a privilege to to hold what I'm holding at the moment, and I feel real honored to hold that.
It's because you have such like pure intentions, man.
Mm.
Like the biggest fucking heart, the big line in all respects, and yeah, it's a journey, that's for sure. I remember I was thinking about this the other day. I remember a few years back, this thing in my head. It was like, you got to go, Jim. There's something you need to do, and I had no clue what it was. So I left everything, my whole, my home life, my everything, because I knew there was something that I needed to do. I just didn't know what. And yeah, I was just thinking about that even this last night and going, who would have known, that I find myself on the path that I am. It's all of that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you listen to your intuition, you listen to your spirit speak to you to do that. And I think that's really important as well for people, because sometimes you don't know why you're doing something, but you just know. Like I had that experience when I left my corporate job. I didn't have anything set up or ready to rock at all, but I was just like, it was like I was being pulled. And if I didn't do it, I had to do it. I had to just take that leap of faith. And that's the thing, isn't it? And that's those little steps of courage. Like you might not know what something's going to look like, but if you really, your inner guidance isn't going to let you down. And that's when you need to tap into that. And sometimes it's hard to do.
I was about to say, it can be bloody trying and testing at times, right? And you're like, are you for real? And because it's easy to get stuck into those, what's happening externally, and it's easy to be, pulled and siphoned in that direction in a way. And so I don't know, I guess for me, I try to stay out of, the stations of identity, the ego, and I don't mean ego as in, I'm, thinking someone who thinks they're so great. I think ego is the like I was saying, stations of identity that we've learned to pattern ourselves upon, or that we've thought out that this is who we are, and or what this experience is told us, what other people have told us we are. So staying out of that ego, and being into these higher dimensions, realities, all at the same time while being here on earth.
Yeah. Walking in the two worlds. Yeah.
Yeah. And that, I feel, once you find that balance, isn't that the same kind of like balancing between madness and genius?
Yep.
This is the line to walk, right? And to have the courage to do that, because there's safety in these structures, right?
It's the dance between being a genius and madness. Like you're either going to lose your mind or you're going to be able to hold the knowledge. Like that's what it is. We see so many people all the time that have gone crazy, but they have all this knowledge. And the reason is because they couldn't dance in between being a genius and the madness. They fell into the hole of madness. And that's the trick that we've now got to stay out of is I've seen people in the last 4 years that have gone from being very intelligent and intellectual people to absolutely losing their mind because they can't hold it, because their mind just fights with themselves. It splits it into two, and they're toast after that. Unfortunately, they're toast. But yeah, it's the dance between being a genius and madness.
I mean, the thing is that all of these things that seem a little bit out there, right, in contrast to what we've been taught or learned along the way. I mean, if you're an evidence person, there's evidence out there for it as well, like
open your eyes.
It's just, you got to be willing, you got to be willing to see it. And it's like I said before, once you see it, you can't turn back. And I spend some time thinking that, like, Jamie, are you losing the plot here? But I know everything, all of my research, accessing other spaces, or whatever you want to call it as well, knowingness, what I recall, what I remember, what I get through my dreams, all the intuition and things, it's all backed up as well. So yeah, but I do know it's a lot.
Yeah, and I think that's why it is a lot for a lot of people, and that's why there's that disconnect. And And that's why we won't see things happen overnight. And if too many people, you know, as impatient as we can be, but if too many people sort of flip their too quickly, like that's a lot of madness that's going around. So the balance is being kept that way too. And that's why it's an unraveling on such a big collective scale too, isn't it?
What upsets me about the whole thing is that, though, that these, you know, the structures of the pillars on our that have founded our modern society, they capitalize on that.
Mm.
You know.
Yeah, they know that that's
know,
what will...
Yeah, they know, right?
Yeah. But and again, I guess too, like as we know, because there has to be opposites. We're in a universe of duality. We also know, and so the game is just being played out like this and that, isn't it? Like, it's just, yeah. It's,
well, I think if I can add to that a bit, I think we're not. I think we're taught that we're in or we're told we're in a world of duality.
Yeah.
I think, and I'm not disregarding the world of duality, but I believe we can make our own decisions. We can, you know, we don't have to have this choice like black or white or blue or red or fucking Māori or Pākehā or Aboriginal or Australian or whatever. Like these are just two constructs of, they're like, yeah, you've only got two choices.
Yes.
When in reality, I think when we actually look at the bigger picture, we're not in a realm of duality. We're in a realm of
infinite possibilities.
I was about to say that. Yes,
that's the word I was looking for. Thank you. Yeah, like
I feel it.
It comes from with us. So we just have to stop going, hang on, are we left or right, or are we blue or red, or are we Māori, Pākehā, or we whatever? You know, we are just all human at the end of the day, and also our individuality brings us together as our collective consciousness.
Exactly.
Right. So we also have to be individuals to bring the collective together, but we also have to make decisions that are outside the duality that we've been shown. And you know, once you make that, you know, you just have to, for instance, an easy one to show is, you know, we all talk about the politicians being red or blue, right? You got your National, your Labour, or but then you look at the Queen. The Queen wears purple. Why does she wear purple? Not because it was the expensive color, because it's the middle between the red and the blue. It's the combination of both. It's the balance, right? So that is what we've got to find, is that balance in between, and stop. We've actually got to stop in the middle and say, fuck, I'm not listening to you anymore. I'm not listening to you anymore. Where's the other direction?
I know. Why is this a pay-to-play society? You know, like I cannot understand why people even fucking agree to this. You know, I mean, we play for a bit, but then when you stop and you go, hang on a minute, who benefits out of you know, the way things are structured at the moment? A very few, you know. Like I mean, we could break into all sorts of things, like what really goes on in the medical systems and things like that. There's good and there's not so good, right? But the point of it is that it comes down to, as Wayde saying, you know, especially at this moment in time, what is it? Most people don't even know what they want to wear, you know, that day, or having a hard time making like simple decisions. But these are huge decisions that we all have the power to make these choices and go, is this how we want to be? Is this the future we want to leave for our kids? I mean, I look at what's coming down the line and you're like, holy shitballs, man, wake the fuck up.
Yeah, and I'm just so glad you touched on all of that, because you are so right. It's infinite possibilities. And like when you were talking about the red and the blue, even you think of the Matrix, you've given two choices there, but even that is indoctrination, really, because it's you don't have to choose the red or the blue. You can choose whatever the fuck you want to choose. Exactly. And so I think that is what it's all about, and that is what's stepping into your power, isn't it?
The spectrum, you know, it's a spectrum, everything in between. This is why it's red, white, and blue, right? You know, because it's within that bandwidth is infinite possibilities. And yeah, it's sometimes I look at it and go, wow, man, you know, it's way more simpler than what we think.
Oh, it is though. It literally is. Like if people actually just stopped and actually had a conversation with each other and went, you might be left or right or whatever you want to fucking acknowledge yourself as, and go, hang on, we're all fighting for the same thing here. The only problem actually is the man in the middle. And so it should be, and I've said this many times, like for New Zealand, it should never be Māori versus Pākehā. It should, in Australia, it shouldn't be, you know, the white Australians versus the Aboriginals. It should be Pākehā and Māori versus our rogue government and foreign entities that are trying to take our land. You know? And same with Australia. It should be the Aboriginals and the white Australians that are now down there fighting their rogue governments that are trying to take all their land. And we don't see that. We just see the, you know, and that's where that duality comes into it. All we're looking for is the savior. Which way we're going to go, left or right? Who's going to direct us in the right path? When at the end of the day, if we actually stopped and had a conversation with each other, we would all see that we're actually going for the same thing.
Want the best.
It's that person in the middle. And then if we all directed our energy at that person in the middle, we're going to make change. And that's the divide and conquer and rule. No, and it's the old classic divide, conquer, and rule. They play on that to, you know, the game of chess tells you everything, you know. Who at
playing the long game.
But who at the end wins, you know, only the king and queen wins, you know. But at the end of the day, if you took all your pawns and put them around the king, what's the king gonna do? Nothing.
He's got nowhere to go.
He's fucked, right? Yeah.
He can only make one move.
Yeah, he can only do one. When if we've got all the pawns together, we're more powerful than one king or one queen.
Honestly, it is. It's we talk about this a lot, you know, and it is frustrating to sit and to watch, you know, things play out and merry-go-rounds go round, and you know, the resourcing of the source, which is us. You know, we allow it to happen when things could be, you know, for everybody. Yeah. I mean, after all, we create it all. So, you know, what do we want to create, you know, and what do we want to leave? And I guess that's where, with what's happening at the moment and sort of what's in lockstep, I suppose, in the pipelines, right? You know, it's really important for us to be able to make those decisions and those choices and look beyond, you know, what's immediately in front of us.
One thing I just want to add to everyone out there watching, I want you to ask yourself a question, you know. What has the royal family or the government ever done for you?
Oh, we could take a look at the last few years. I mean, and beyond, right? Let's get real. This is you know, and some of the things that we what Wayde sort of shares and educates, and I guess I'll include myself in that too. You know, you could go back. There's proof of all of these plans, and you know what their plans were. You know, doctrine of discovery is like there's so much you could expand beyond that. So it's all out there. You know, we've been very clear on what their intentions were.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. Like, you know, everything is out there. To be looked at. And I think, you know, you're talking about divide and conquer before, Waydos, and then there's also this keep people really busy and in fear type thing too, because then I don't have time to look at this, I've got to do this and this, and it's another program that's keeping people stuck in that place, isn't it?
Yeah. I got a message the other day, you know, from, you know, I'm not going to mention the name or anything, but a person that was, well, that follows, and you know, they were saying something, they messaged me, you know, about the he fuck putanga stuff, and I'm not going back to that, but about sort of, you know, how do we get free, and then how do we do this and how do we do that? And I sort of turned to them, I said, well, you've got a page too, you know, start educating people through your page. The reply I got was, I've just started working a 12-hour day shift, I don't have time for this. Said, well, what do you, so now you're expecting me to do something because you're too busy.
You know, that's huge. We find that a lot.
Like, what? Just because I can do it, like I was working a fucking 10-hour a day job and still doing this as well. You know, like, yes, I don't work a 9 to 5 now, and it's my decision, and you know, we have some ups and downs as you go along. But what I'm saying is that's the problem. You know, yes, you might be working a 12-hour day or you might be working 9 to 5. But if you truly want to be free, as soon as you finish work, you're ready to go on to your next part to get rid of what you want. If you want to get away from working and you've got, you know, like a hustle job that you do after work, you're going to finish your job. Your mind's going to switch over to your other job that you've got at home, because you want to make sure that that thing's ready to go, so that when you get rid of here, you've got your income and stuff. And same goes with the world that's around us. If we want to be free, we have to do the work to get there. We can't expect everyone else to do it for us.
Yeah.
That's what we're at the moment. And I even find that a lot with myself, is that people expect me to do so much for them when, you know, what are you doing for me? You know, and I don't expect anything back. But the question is I don't do it for that reason. But the thing is it's like, I can only do so much on my own, you know.
But yeah, and I mean, like I was saying, that's one of the biggest, you asked earlier, what's one of the biggest hurdles, you know, that, you know, the people are, and I guess, you know, and like you said before, they keep us busy. We're in a modern stress society. You know, they've created this, you know, it's not just stress with the 9-to-5s and families and the mortgages and all that kind of stuff, but there's, you know, invisible stress. There's the electromagnetic smog that's out there that's creating stress within our own systems as well. So our system's frazzled, you know, our societies are frazzled. So I get that, but at the same time, you know,
you gotta
have to
help yourself.
Yeah, and because you can, I mean, and even still, you can hand it on a silver platter, and you've done it a lot, right?
Yeah, and then they don't listen.
But then they still won't even, they still don't want to take it on, because at the end of the day, you actually have to take that hero's journey yourself.
You do. Yeah, that's so true. You do.
Every journey,
yeah, because
that's what it is right now.
Say that bit again. Sorry, Gem.
I was gonna say, and that's really what it is right now. You know, we've all got to, it's that figuring out, you know, we're all here. I know they say it's cliche, we're all here for a reason. And some are for background and some for whatever. But there are definitely people here, or souls here. You know, anyone I'm sure tuning into this is part of that resonance, right? That, you know, we are here we're the change makers.
Sacrifice.
So it does take, and it is sacrifice, and it does take that, you know. I remember back when I first actually only really met Wayde, right? You know, and I remember he was working from 7 a.m. to whatever time at night, and then he'd have fucking dinner, and you know, and he'd finish his dinner and he'd get in his car and, you know, in the office whatever, and he'd do his lives. And I watched him, you know, and I was like, day in, day out, man, he gave so much. So, you know, it can be done. You have to want it.
Yeah, you just have to want it. It's how much do you want it? You know, I've wanted to be free since I can remember. That's one of my, when I used to blow the candles out on my birthday, you know, like that was always my wish. I wanted the world to be free. Didn't know what we had to do to be free. But the wish was never for me. It was for the world to be free.
What a wish for it.
That is beautiful.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I really want that horse.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it's actually quite a profound you know, wish and dream. And I know there's so many others out there as well, you know, who really resonate and feel that.
Absolutely.
Get in there.
Yeah, we are. It's all good. It's just like you said before, you know, we've got years as things start to unravel around us. But there is no time like the present in terms of that figuring ourselves out and knowing ourselves on a level that, you know, we just continue to, I guess, unravel and grow through, because like I said before, there's exciting opportunities available to us in our, you know, physical bodies as things are shifting in our realities. So
yeah. And just like as you were talking before too, like having that person reach out to you, Waydos, like again, that's another example of putting your power out to someone else to do something. And we don't all have to do lives and sit in our cars and present things that way. That's not what we all have to do. But if we've got the knowledge, then how will we do it? How will it is it best for us to show up? Okay, what will I do to make a difference? Maybe you're creating a community garden. I mean, maybe you're chatting to people on the grassroots there, or maybe you're helping like a community. Like, it doesn't really matter what it is, but you have to find it for yourself, because like you were both saying before, like we're unique puzzle pieces of the puzzle, and we do need to show up for ourselves that way. And that's when we're shifting things.
I really love that you were talking about grassroots just then, because, that is essentially what is in favor at the moment. If you want to talk, so let's swing back to celestial alignments and things like that. It's all about grassroots. It's all about future, humanitarianism, but it's also about, the unconventional, the revolutions, those that are standing out from the crowd. And I feel like, this embodying the knowledge, like they're saying, like once you go in and you do your own research, or you see it for yourself, or you learn from listening to people like Wayde, who's, as we all know, is fucking incredibly knowledgeable, right? That then you take that on, and then just you being in your highest resonance is enough, right? Because we've got to remember there's greater things happening, like planetary grids, ley lines, wherever you are, you are your just essence, your soul is plugging in is enough. So but yeah, we need those activations through the learnings or through the experiences. And I know I've said this before, but and everyone has a story, and everyone's story, as you're saying, is part of the tapestry. So whatever life is throwing at you, good or bad, it just it's isness. And so I feel, that's been massive for me in my journey, and getting past and letting go, and surrendering, negative experiences or whatever it is you want to do, and just saying, hey, you know what, I'm not going to be dictated by these experiences, and okay, I learned a lot from that, and to be able to see, stand in forgiveness and things like that, not just for the things that that may have happened to me, but also in the things I've done to myself, or self-sabotaged, or how I might have shown up in someone else's reality consequently. So it's just a constant.
It is, isn't it? It is a constant. But with all of those experiences, that's what allows us to walk in wisdom, if we allow it.
That's what it is.
Yeah. And then you just as well, and I love that you said this too, because I say it all the time too, that resonance, when you've got that, like I always use this example, you go into the grocery store, like people around you don't know what's going on, but when you are, you're that powerful, that is creating ripples, and it's lifting them up, and you're taking that with you. Like if you can picture that in your mind, that frequency emitting, it's just, yeah, those things are just incredible.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. And same as like I always say as well, like if there's something that you don't agree with, speak it out loud, like whether someone's listening or not, because
Yes.
the universe hears you.
Yes.
Like no one else will hear you, but the universe knows that someone's standing up against them. The universe knows that someone's disagreeing with what's going on, which then in turn brings them karma, because someone understands that that we stand against this, and we are saying no. So.
Absolutely. The reason I was having a bit of a giggle there is because I mean, and this is what we both do, we both will call things out, or
So why were you giggling?
Was that?
So why were you giggling?
Oh, because I was giggling about that one in the car the other day. We were driving along, we're on the motorway, we're heading into Auckland. We'd been down out of the region or whatever, and we're coming back in, and this cop car comes flying the other way on the other side of the motorway, right? And Wayde's driving along, cruising along, gives him the big finger, and I was like, forever on watch, or forever vigilant, and what's that going to do, kind of thing, as a joke. But Wayde's right, he goes, it's me telling the universe, I do not I don't stand under their authority, I don't agree to what they do, or whatever.
The universe hears, so it doesn't matter what you do, the universe hears. So always, if you see something on the news that you don't agree with, speak it out loud, say that you don't agree with it. Like no one will hear you, but the universe will.
The stars. And they and you know what blows my mind about this, like they hear it instantaneously as well. That's what's
there,
crazy.
now you're gonna say it.
Eh?
Oh.
No, that's true. And this is true.
Yeah.
You know, if we're standing truly in our power, we're just going with the flow, going on our own flow. We've written this anyway. You know, we've pre-written kind of, you know, partly in terms of our what's going to happen. We've of course got free will along the way, and we can change things. But there will be things, I know this to be true, there will be things that in the Akashic records that we've agreed that we aren't going to reveal to ourselves, or we aren't going to you know, have a choice on, right? You know, the fated points, the fated things, they doesn't matter what we do, we'll end up in that situation anyway. I love that. That's the vertex point in you know, in astrology, and the fated point. So you know, we've got part of fortune as well. We've come in with everything that we need. Oh my gosh.
We do have everything we need. And I love that you just say no, because I've done that too, standing in the kitchen, just said like by myself. So I've done that too. And that's the thing, we're energetic beings. We're made of frequency, energy, vibration. And so that is what happens. That sound comes out and you say no, I do not consent, whatever it might be. That is felt. It is felt. And as silly as you might feel, doesn't matter. Still felt.
Oh,
isn't it?
it's so powerful. Yeah, 100%. Man, I could can I share something that came to mind the other day? Just sort of around all of that frequency and vibration and things. Because you know how I love all the physical body, and you know, and get mesmerized in that in those ideas and thoughts and things. Well, you know, like we know that our blood is electromagnetic, right? And I was thinking about this the other day, and I was thinking, well, you know, our heart center, right? This is the, you know, emanates the strongest aspect of our torus field and electromagnetic field and everything like that. And I was thinking, I know, you know, there's whole nother meaning as to what, you know, the purpose of our heart is, because of course, it's, as we know, it's got 40,000 plus, you know, neurons. It's got its own brain, right? But then it's got the feeling behind it, because of course, as you know, the blood circulating through the body and through the, you know, the ventricles or the heart itself, you know, it's imprinting this electrical frequency into the, you know, the blood as it passes through. So like I was just blown away with the fact that really, you know, the more we're in our heart space, you know, this electricity that, you know, is charged. The heart is, you know, specifically charged with its own system, coding system. So, you know, I'm like, just stay in the heart center, people, because it is really that simple. And that's as the blood goes through and it moves through the entire body. This is, you know, this is what is making up the framework of our electromagnetic signatures. So I don't know, that dropped in the other day, and I was like, wow, that's cool.
I love that. I love that so much. And I mean, what do you, if someone says, okay, Gem, but how do I stay in my heart center? What does that even look like? Like, how does one stay in that? Like, what is just a little example?
Oh man, you know, I can resonate with even that question, because I know I struggled for a long time on this journey. I don't know about you, Waydo, but well, you know, some of us have been really shut down, you know, through events and things like that, and got really anchored into those heavier overlays, those false matrices, you know, that hold people in certain experiences or existences, shall we say. So, you know, breaking free for me is that I had to open my heart space, and I actually remember doing that to you too. You know, through you know, simply, you know, the easiest way to do it is to find that alignment, that brain heart coherence. You know, Joe talks about it. I know your work's all about that as well. And so learning to see through here, you know, to shift our how we see the world, to shift it down into this area here. This is almost like the background stuff, but you know, everything's, you know, coming in through here and coming out through there. So it's practice. That's the other thing as well, you know, and not allowing, as we were saying before, this whole quarter has been around about not externalizing, you know, and to really standing and controlling our state of being. It's just a practice.
Yeah, and feeling it too, isn't it? It's knowing how to feel and letting yourself feel, because a lot of us, I think, like, this is just dropping in now, is like we've been conditioned not to feel. And it's our feelings and our emotions that can help us with that, and to really tap into our heart.
Yeah, it's not denying yourself, like full expression of your emotions, no matter how vulnerable
But also
that
don't
makes
get
you.
caught in your emotions.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is where also you have to learn, this is where the brain comes into it, and you have to learn to separate fact with emotion, facts and emotions,
Exactly.
At the moment, what we can see is we are too emotionally driven. Our emotions outweigh the facts, and we get, and that's what they play on at this point in time too. We see what's going on overseas at this point in time. They play on our emotions to draw us in, to keep us distracted from the external. They distract us with the external, rather than seeing it for what it is. And I think this is a lot of why a lot of people sometimes have an issue with me, because I'm able to separate my emotions from the fact, and I don't get emotional about a loss of life or something, because I know that at the long run that soul has made a soul contract to do that. That soul has already played out their life, and their soul has actually made a bigger sacrifice to this world than us still talking about it. So I understand that emotional connection. I can be emotional when I need to be, but also when I need to see things for what they are, I'm able to go boom, make a separate sort of separate my emotions from my facts, and go, okay, let's just look at the facts and see what's going on here before we get emotionally charged with it. And then once you see the facts for what they are, this emotional charge normally just falls away, because you realize
and if it doesn't, then it's you need to figure out why what is that thing to do, because as Wayde said, and as and it's exactly right, they play on this. I mean, emotions are energy. Emotion, they're the magnet. They are what magnetizes and materializes these acts and scenes and whatever's going on. So I agree 100% what he just said, what he said.
Yeah, that's what he said. But no, I know I do too. It's being able to observe, like to be able to step away from it and look at it as the movie playing out, so you can see what's happening, like you said, the facts. And then allow those things that do trigger you, like as well, to like you said, Gem, to see, okay, what do I need to look at here? Like I was saying this the other day in a chat with someone. If someone said to me, Narita, you are just a big pink elephant with polka dots all over, yeah, okay, no, I'm not. Like, it wouldn't trigger me at all, because I know I'm not that. But if they said something else that hit me in there, and I was like, oh, that right there is an example of a trigger for me to look at. Like, if they said something that, and then it gives me the opportunity to reflect and see, like you said, you both said, well, why is that coming up for me?
But at the end of the day, I mean, do we even like those state of feelings that that have been activated or poked the bear or whatever? Like, I mean, it's to feel them, but then do we want to, like Wayde said, do you want to sit in them? Because
you don't need to hold on to everything.
And this is the truth. And this is what I see a lot in people in physical health as well. It's like they're holding on to these emotions that are not serving them anymore. I'm like, oh, good Lord, get rid of them, like do you like feeling in that state? Like and this is the thing, if you are listening as well and you are kind of having a bit of a shit time or with health or whatever, life in general, we actually at every given moment in time have the choices. Do we want to stay in that feeling or not? We can boom, switch it. Sometimes not as easy as that, but at the other same hand, it is that easy. So
I guess stop looking at the world as a whole bunch of problems and start looking at the world with solutions.
Yes.
And opportunities. It's just our perception. That's all it is. Like you can see the problems for what they are. The problems have always been there. So like when people say, the world's getting worse, it's going to shit. No, it's not. It's always been like that. You are just now aware of it.
Yes.
You are just now aware of what's going on in the world. So you've always lived with the world being like this. So change your perception.
So what you gonna do?
Stop looking at the problem and start, understanding the problem and looking for a solution.
Yeah.
It's an easier way to way to see the world. And I know that once I started looking at the world with understanding the problem and then trying to find the solution, I felt better about what I was doing too, you know, because I'm starting to go, okay, the problem's over there. Yep, we can see that. I understand that it's not quite affecting me now, so we better do something about it now before it does affect me. And it just makes you grow as a person too. And obviously the more like what you're saying empowers you, the more you start to grow as a person as well, and you become a louder voice, or you become an entity of being able to educate and hold the knowledge as well.
And let's just put it out there too. We forget this is a big earth experiment. We're here to experiment. We're here to know what it feels like to experience certain things, right? So, like at the end of the day, it's just a temporary, sort of fly in, fly out. So what are you going to do with your time here? Is sort of, I guess, how we sort of go with the flow or live our life. We try to use our time with this and give and not just for ourselves, just to help pave the way forward, and do what we came to do, I suppose.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that so much. That is it, and it's up to us. We're the solution, aren't we? We're the solution.
Yeah.
As cliche as it sounds, we're the ones we've been looking for,
Yeah. Yeah. It's as cliche as it is, but it's the truth.
It is the truth.
We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are our ancestors, we shouldn't be sitting here trying to go, we need to listen to the ancestors and we need to do this. We need to acknowledge them. We need to accept them. We need to give them the props that they deserve, but we also need to understand that we are our ancestors, and we are, the keepers of the land now, and the keepers of the knowledge. And once we understand that, then we'll understand it. You're more powerful than any entity out there, so.
Yeah, we're just fractal patterns of our ancestors. So I look at that, like with any, frequency, vibration, whatever, you can change the dance whenever you like, right? So I love how much power we hold, and I love that we're able to input that into everything that we do, and we all can do it. So it's exciting times.
It really is. It really is. I couldn't talk to you guys all day long.
I
know. You're probably, I want to go for a skate now. No, but
it's not gonna lie.
So before I let you roll off, as they say, go for a roll. Is there anything else that's on your heart that you want to share before we wrap up? Yeah.
On my heart, for me, it's all about home. It's all about our people here. It's all that's on my heart. Is just making sure our people get what they deserve. And we're no longer slaves. We've been slaves for thousands of years. So that is all that, I guess when it comes down to it, I'm still just worried about what's here. And I guess I'm not worried. I shouldn't say worried. I know that we're going to be okay. I know that everything's going to be all good in the end. But my concern is home and the land that we stand on at the moment, and just making sure that everyone sort of gets through okay. But we are going to get through it. Humanity's, we've been here thousands of years. We've been through a lot more worse things than this. So, we can only just keep on going forward, and hopefully, the people that will stand up and lead us through this will, stand up and walk with me. So, yeah.
Beautiful. Thanks, Waydos. How about you, Gem?
It too, stand up for what's right, even if you're the only one standing. I mean, just to add to all of that we've discussed today, I just know how powerful the time that we're in, and the more that we do come back to ourselves, the more that we listen to those that are close to us, like these are why would people that love you tell you wrong.
Mm.
And I feel, that's the time to come back to, because that's been part of the divide as well, divide up the family unit and things like that, and to start second guessing people that, you've known all your life.
Mm.
And in favor of somebody that,
you don't know from
you don't know at all,
Yeah.
who's supposed to represent us. I mean, goodness me, I've seen the ins and outs of those that are supposed to represent us, and of course there are going to be cases that they do, but for the most part, I feel we just got to come back to
snap back to reality.
to each and every single one of us. Yeah. Yeah. I know, but yeah, just stand true and have courage. Oh my goodness, have courage. Stop doubting yourself.
I can tell you now, if you're scared about the authorities coming after to take you out, they ain't coming.
Nah,
they ain't coming. Everyone that, all these so-called whistleblowers and truth tellers that get taken out, these are all just a fucking play to make you scared so you won't speak out. I can tell you now, if they were going to take someone out, I would have been taken out a long time ago. And
yeah,
they want to scare you, but that is it. I can tell you now, these people don't want to destroy this planet we live on, because this is what's keeping them in power. This is what's keeping them rich. They don't want to destroy this land.
Exactly.
They don't want to get rid of it. They just want power and authority over it.
Yeah.
So all this shit, the world's going to end and all this, no, it's not.
Actually,
these people still want power. They still want authority. And this realm will still exist because that's what they want. So we just need to take the power of it.
I'm just going to add this one little bit here. You talk about history before, once you start to understand history and things. My nana was told as a little girl, I don't know how old she was, 8 years old or something like that, go home, it's a Tuesday afternoon, go home at lunchtime and be with your family because the world's going to end at 4 o'clock. What? Like this fear-mongering bullshit has been going on for so long. Look at the patterns, and I just know that the more that
they're not destroying this place.
No. And to get out of states of fear and to stand in, all the things we've talked about, like just, he says it best anyway, just remember who the fuck you are. So, sorry, I stole that.
It's all good. So you owe me a copyright on that one.
Yeah.
But thanks for having us, man. I've enjoyed being and I just want to shout out to you too, lastly, like the work you're doing and the frequency shift journal you've got, props to you, man. Anybody out there, if you haven't grab one off Narita, they're incredible. Putting that structure down and guiding you through, honestly, what an amazing job you've done with that. So
thanks, mate. Nice little wrap. Thanks for that.
Big
pay her for that or anything?
Not a paid sponsorship.
You guys are freaking awesome. I'm so grateful to chat to you both today, have you both on the screen and just have you guys bouncing off each other. It's just awesome. How can people find you both? I want to make sure that people know, and thanks for saying that, by the way, Jim. But how can people find you guys?
Instagram. I only have my Instagram.
Yeah.
I've said since day dot, when my Instagram goes, that's it. I'm not here jumping from social media to social media. I'm not on everyone. So Waydos, WAYDOS_. You'll find me on Instagram. Jim.
Yeah, that's the easiest way to get to catch me, as well as on Insta. I'm Gemma Gee 333, and that's Gemma with a G. So and Gemma Gee is double E.
Yes.
That makes sense. I said that right.
Yeah. Totally does. Yeah. And what I'll do is I'll link it in the description and the show notes for everyone as well, so they can click through. If they're not already following you guys there. You drop so much wisdom and different things along the way, a bit of skateboarding too, which is an awesome thing. And I know you're looking forward to that now. You guys, just thank you so much for hanging out. I just absolutely love it. I can't wait to meet you guys in real life one day, and hopefully I'll be able to skate by then too. And it'll just be awesome. So thank you for being on the show. And I also want to thank you at home or wherever you are listening to this or watching this. Thank you so much for tuning in as well. So grateful that you're here. If you want to leave a comment, subscribe, share it with someone, that'll be awesome too. Always love hearing from you. So thanks for being here. And yeah, thanks again, guys, for being on the show.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.